There is a country so full of beauty and excess that it has become the spring break capital of the world. The wildest party for American college students. Beaches with no rules, and adult cruises where almost anything is allowed. A nation where, just a few centuries ago, human sacrifices were performed. With a relationship with death so extreme that there are tombs the size of buildings. Rituals where the bones of the dead are cleaned. And one night each year when millions of people sleep beside their departed loved ones in cemeteries. That country exists, and its name is Mexico. Sit back, open your eyes, and hit the like button. Because in this new video from Uncensored World, you'll discover a slowly sinking capital, a deadly train route, an island covered in dolls, and natural wonders born from the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. Let's get started. In the heart of the American continent, where the Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean Sea seem to touch at the ends of its territory, and hidden among dense jungles that hold ancient secrets, lies Mexico, a country that defies the limits of imagination, as it is one of the most biodiverse, extraordinary, and essential territories in the history of humanity. Mexico borders the United States to the north, Belize and Guatemala to the southeast, and is surrounded by seas that have shaped its climate and culture. With an area of almost 2 million square kilometers, it is one of the largest countries in Latin America. Its population density exceeds that of many territories of similar size, with more than 120 million inhabitants spread across jungles, mountains, and vibrant cities. At its heart lies Mexico City, the capital, a gigantic metropolis with more than 20 million inhabitants, making it one of the most populous and densely inhabited cities on the planet. Something that few people know about this enigmatic and famous city is that every year, Mexico City sinks between 10 and 40 centimeters. Anyone might think that so many people concentrated in a relatively small area could have something to do with this sinking, but the reality is quite different. The reason is not the weight of its population and buildings, but rather the massive extraction of groundwater, the composition of the soil in the ancient lake basin, and the natural compaction of the ground. This phenomenon is a reminder that, beneath Mexico City, the abyss seems to be reclaiming its space. A reality, that of the abyss, which, as you will see, is closely related to the past and present of an extraordinary country, both in terms of geography and history and culture. To discover Mexico, we must first delve into its deepest history and its connection to the underworld, to those abysses that the earth seems to hide beneath its capital, its territory, and its jungle. Abysses that are reflected in the cenotes like nowhere else, underground caves that are one of the favorite destinations for tourists in the country, both for their beauty and their history, and which even today seem like gateways to another dimension. Cenotes are wells of crystal clear water that were formed millions of years ago, after the meteorite impact that wiped out the dinosaurs. The enormous force of the collision fractured the limestone of the Yucatan Peninsula, creating caverns and sinkholes that filled with fresh water over time, giving rise to unique ecosystems that seem magical, as the beauty of these cenotes is hypnotic. Their turquoise waters reflect the sky while harboring impressive biodiversity, endemic fish, underwater vegetation, and bats that dance in the darkness. Among the most famous are the Gran Cenote near Tulum, Cenote Ixquil in Chichen Itza, and the Sacred Cenote, which still holds the mystery of the ancient Mayan rituals that took place there, which you will soon learn about in more detail. These underground abysses are not only a natural spectacle, but also a bridge to a more recent past that consolidated Mexico as the cradle of some of the most powerful and influential civilizations in the Americas. Pre-Hispanic cultures, such as the Maya and Aztecs, dominated vast territories and developed complex societies, comparable in their time to the Romans in Europe or the Egyptians in Africa. Their legacy remains indelible in temples, pyramids, and cities that defy the passage of time. A striking example of this progress was Tenochtitlan, founded more than 600 years ago in what is now Mexico City, long before the arrival of European colonizers. This city was so developed and organized that it could be compared to ancient Rome. It had canals and aqueducts that provided clean water, centralized markets, majestic temples, and sophisticated urban planning that allowed for the efficient movement of people and goods. Even today, beneath the modernity of the capital, vestiges of its grandeur and the ingenuity of its urban design can still be seen, recalling the magnitude of a civilization that flourished in the heart of America. Over time, the arrival of European colonizers transformed the country forever. The fusion of cultures gave rise to a unique society where the Catholic religion became a central element. Many ancestral cultures disappeared almost completely due to diseases brought from Europe, wars, cultural imposition, and the exploitation of resources, factors that undermined their population and way of life. All of this has a lot to do with Mexico being considered one of the most Catholic countries in the world today, a nation with more churches than hospitals, a reflection of its history, devotion, and traditions. This reality still divides the Mexican population, as many consider that colonization brought more harm than good, while others value the cultural and religious aspects that remain to this day. This historical conflict gave rise to the celebration of Independence Day, every September 16th, when Mexicans commemorate the beginning of the struggle to free themselves from Spanish rule. On this day, cities and towns are filled with flags, parades, civic ceremonies, and the famous Grito de Dolores, recalling the courage of those who sought to regain the country's sovereignty. If you are Mexican or have lived in Mexico, we would like to ask you a question. What do you think about Spanish colonization? Do you think life was better before, or do you think the changes have brought more positive than negative things? We would love to read your opinion in the comments, and together we can better understand the majority view. So thank you. But if there is one story that fascinates this nation, it is the legend and mystery of the Maya, one of the most extraordinary civilizations humanity has ever known. Their legacy can be seen throughout the country, in regions such as the Yucatan Peninsula, Chiapas, and the Tabasco area. Among all their remains, Chichen Itza stands out as a symbol of engineering, astronomy, and ceremonial power, as each building seems to hold stories and legends that reveal the greatness and mystery of this culture. What makes the Maya truly extraordinary is their knowledge of the stars, unique in human civilization at the time. They carefully observed the movements of the sun, moon, and planets, venerating the celestial bodies as manifestations of the divine. To study the sky, they built lakes that reflected the stars, allowing them to project and anticipate their movements with astonishing accuracy. This astronomical knowledge allowed them to predict solar eclipses hundreds of years in advance, a feat that continues to amaze modern scientists and archaeologists. They achieved this through systematic observations of the sky reflected in lakes and cenotes, combined with meticulous records of solar, lunar, and planetary movements. Each year they noted patterns, studied alignments, and constructed accurate calendars that could project cosmic phenomena centuries before they occurred. Thanks to this method, the Maya could anticipate solstices, equinoxes, eclipses, and seasonal changes, allowing them to plan harvests, foresee droughts, and organize sacred ceremonies and rituals at the exact moment they were to occur. For this reason, many historians and scholars believe that the Maya possessed a unique ability to predict the future, a fusion of scientific observation and mystical worldview that makes them one of the most advanced and fascinating civilizations in human history. In Chichen Itza, possibly the most famous Mayan city in the world, located on the Yucatan Peninsula in southeastern Mexico, this astronomical knowledge is reflected in specific buildings. The Pyramid of Kukulkan, where the shadow of the serpent descends precisely during the equinoxes. The observatory known as El Caracol, which allowed the movement of Venus to be tracked, and the Temple of the Warriors, aligned with solar and stellar phenomena, a testament to the Maya's mastery of architecture and astronomy. Even today, there are Mayan descendants who preserve ancient rituals, songs, and ceremonies, keeping the knowledge of their ancestors alive. Some villages continue to celebrate offerings to the sun, rain, and stars, demonstrating that the connection between heaven and earth is still part of their culture. Some of their most fascinating curiosities are related to sexuality and health. For example, certain foods, such as hot peppers, were considered enhancers of virility and sexual energy. Among the elite, it was common for a man to have several wives, a practice that served to consolidate social and political alliances. Interestingly, many of these traditions and knowledge are still preserved today among some descendants of the ancient Maya, demonstrating that the connection between past and present is still alive. At the heart of their worldview, the Maya believed that the underworld, Xibalba, was a place of trials and challenges that every soul had to go through. For them, cenotes, those underground abysses of crystal-clear water, were not only sources of life, but above all sacred portals to that hidden world, a mirror of the underworld on Earth. The Maya saw cenotes not only as hell, but also as reflections of the night sky, a mirror that allowed them to study the stars and make calendars. In fact, some of their most complex calendars bore markings that many interpreted as predictions of catastrophic events, fueling the legend that they indicated the end of the world. This end of the world was not only cosmic but also human, something that had a lot to do with one of the most controversial Mayan practices, human sacrifice, which they linked to the renewal of the universe. Among the most famous and dramatic rituals was the ball game, a tournament that combined sport, spectacle, and destiny. The ball game was played on long courts, flanked by murals and structures that can still be seen today in cities such as Chichen Itza. The objective of the ball game was to keep the ball in motion without it touching the ground, trying to throw it into a stone ring or hoop placed on the wall of the court, similar to shooting a basket in basketball, although much more dangerous. The game was played between two teams, and each point was a strategic battle where skill and strength were decisive. The team that managed to send the ball through the hoop or accumulated the most points was considered the winner. But what made this game truly extraordinary was its ritual dimension. On many occasions, the result determined the fate of the players. The most striking thing about the game was not its technique, but its outcome, as each match was held before the public and the high priest, and the result decided the life or death of the players. Normally the losers were sacrificed, sent to the underworld to appease the gods, although on other occasions it was the winners who sacrificed themselves, accepting their fate as an act of supreme devotion and connection with the cosmos. This reality made each game an event charged with tension and ceremonial significance. This ritual game reflects the Mayans' understanding of existence. Life and death were intertwined, and sacrifices were a way of maintaining the balance between humans, gods, and the universe. These realities and their relationship with the underworld explain some of the most extraordinary events of the Mayan civilization, its sudden disappearance, one of the greatest enigmas of ancient history. Let's imagine those last days in Chichen Itza. The squares were filled with rituals, the cenotes reflected the last rays of the sun, and the priests performed ceremonies to ensure the protection of the city before the gods. Suddenly, the climate began to change, crops failed, and shortages led to internal tensions. The Maya, experts in astronomy and the prediction of natural phenomena, began to notice signs in the skies that they could not ignore. With each eclipse, with each seasonal change, anxiety grew. The cities seemed to slowly empty as the inhabitants sought protection from the unknown. The cenotes, which had been mirrors of the cosmos, began to symbolize the entrance to the final destination, reminding them that the connection between life and death was inevitable and profound. In the end, many cities were abandoned. The jungle reclaimed what had belonged to man, engulfing temples and palaces, while the remains of murals and pyramids stood as silent testimonies to their greatness. Modern archaeological studies suggest that the disappearance of the Maya may have been due to a combination of factors: prolonged droughts, internal conflicts, overpopulation, and resource depletion. However, mystery and legend continue to weave themselves around this civilization, creating an aura of fascination that spans centuries. Today, when walking through Chichen Itza and observing its cenotes and ball courts, it is impossible not to feel the energy of those who lived, predicted, and offered their lives to maintain the balance of the universe. If you enjoyed delving into these realities and discovering the secrets of the Mayan world, it would be great if you could give us a like and subscribe to Uncensored World if you haven't already. As you can see here, we explore the world like nowhere else. But Mexico is not just Mayan ruins. This country is so extraordinary that it also has one of the most famous cuisines in the world, considered by many to be the best on the planet, to the point that UNESCO declared it intangible cultural heritage of humanity in 2010. To savor it, Mexican street food is a unique experience. Stalls in places like Mexico City, Oaxaca, or Guadalajara offer delicacies, among which tacos stand out. Tacos are corn or flour tortillas filled with a wide variety of ingredients, from meats and stews to vegetarian options. Their origin dates back to pre-Hispanic times, when tortillas were already an essential part of the Mesoamerican diet and served as an edible base for transporting other foods. With the arrival of the Spanish, new ingredients such as pork and beef were incorporated, giving rise to the diversity of styles we know today. Each bite of a taco reflects Mexico's history and regional diversity, blending flavors, aromas, and traditions. Interestingly, some ingredients have their own stories. The Mexican chili pepper, for example, in addition to its flavor, was considered by the ancients to be a source of energy and vitality. The tortilla, the basis of almost all Mexican cuisine, has been made by hand for centuries, and eating a taco on the street is not just about feeding yourself, but participating in a tradition that connects the past and the present. In addition to food, Mexico is the largest consumer of Coca-Cola in the world, a fact that few people know. But more than for its love of Coca-Cola, this country is famous for being the land of tequila and mezcal, ancient drinks extracted from agave, which require years of cultivation and traditional distillation techniques. Tequila comes mainly from blue agave, grown in Jalisco, while mezcal can be made from different varieties of agave in Oaxaca and other states. An interesting fact, the Pueblo Mágico de Tequila, magical town of Tequila in Jalisco, owes its name to the volcano and the region where agave has been cultivated since pre-Hispanic times. Its name comes from the Nahuatl words tequitl, work or trade, and tlan, place, which can be interpreted as place of work or place where it is cut. Over time, the name became associated with the famous drink produced there, recognized worldwide as a symbol of Mexico. These gastronomic traditions are fused with music and festivities. The mariachis, originally from Jalisco, became famous for their ability to liven up any celebration, performing songs that mix love, humor, and social criticism, using violins, trumpets, and traditional guitars. Each performance is a show that conveys the emotion, identity, and cultural richness of Mexico. The beauty of this country is not limited to its cuisine or its festivals, but also to its extraordinary geography and natural beauty. With this in mind, it is good to know that Mexico is home to the second largest coral reef in the world, the Mesoamerican Reef, which stretches for more than 1,000 kilometers along the Caribbean coast, home to unique marine species and ecosystems that amaze biologists and tourists alike. All these realities, combined with dream beaches and warm climates, have a lot to do with why Americans have chosen Mexico, and in particular Cancun on the Riviera Maya, as the epicenter of their most famous party, spring break. Spring break originated in the United States in the 1930s. It is believed to have originated in the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, when swimming coach Sam Ingram of Colgate University took his team there to train during the spring break of 1938. That stay combined rest, warm weather, and sports competitions, which gradually attracted more college students in subsequent years. During the 1950s and 1960s, the phenomenon took hold thanks to the massive arrival of young people seeking sun, beach, and fun, and it became even more popular after the 1960 film Where the Boys Are, set in Fort Lauderdale. Over time, spring break ceased to be just a training period for athletes and became a true university cultural tradition, marked by parties, often eccentric and controversial, music, water sports, and trips to sunny destinations both inside and outside the United States. Today, more than Florida, Cancun is the epicenter of these parties, as well as cities such as Los Cabos and Puerto Vallarta, also in Mexico, and even countries such as Jamaica and the Bahamas. These places combine tourism, entertainment, and young people in search of intense experiences during a week of vacation. Experiences as intense as parties on nudist beaches, such as Playa del Secreto, where minimal clothing is allowed, respecting the privacy of participants. Themed hotels are also part of the eccentricities of spring break. Some of these resorts organize parties with international DJs, dance contests, and theme nights that recreate cultural or historical settings. Among them are the Hotel Grand Oasis, famous for its nightly shows, and the Temptation Resort, which combines luxury with exclusive adult entertainment. But surely the most controversial phenomenon at these parties are the swingers boats, cruises where adults swap partners to engage in consensual, intimate relationships. These boats operate under strict safety and privacy rules, making them an extreme attraction of spring break. A notable example is Virgin Voyages' Temptation Cruise, which usually departs from Miami, Florida, and makes 5 to 7 night trips to destinations in the Caribbean and some ports in Mexico, offering passengers an environment where fun, freedom, and adult socializing are mixed with luxury and comfort. Ticket prices vary depending on the season and cabin category, but generally range from $1,500 to $3,000 per person. The atmosphere during this time of year combines music, sun, relationships, and adrenaline. Cancun and other parts of Mexico are transformed into a setting where fun is absolute, and the mix of cultures and tourists makes this party a unique phenomenon in the world. At this point, we would like to ask you, would you like to enjoy spring break in cities like Cancun? Do you know of any parties as crazy as this one? Pause the video and leave us your comment. You know that doing so is the best way to support Uncensored World, so that we can continue working every week to show you the world like nowhere else. So thank you. Probably the most extraordinary reality in Mexico, even more so than its spring break party or the disappearance of the Mayans, is its relationship with death. In this country, the relationship with the afterlife reaches limits that are probably not found anywhere else in the world. Its most famous celebration is the Day of the Dead, or rather the night, a night when millions of Mexicans fill the cemeteries dressed as skeletons. These cemeteries are often unique in the world, as some contain entire cities and tombs as large as buildings. We will now go into detail about these realities to learn about the most controversial ritual in this country related to death, which occurs when a community digs up its dead to clean their bones. To understand it all better, it is good to start with El Día de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, undoubtedly the most recognized Mexican celebration worldwide. Its origin combines pre-Hispanic traditions with elements of Catholicism brought by the Spanish, giving rise to a ritual unique on the planet that honors the deceased as if they still walked among us. Far from being a somber occasion, it is a festival full of color, music, and life. For Mexicans, remembering those who are no longer with us does not mean mourning, but rather celebrating the memory of those who have passed away. It is a way of keeping them present, of opening the door for their souls to return for one night and enjoy the company of the living. During this holiday, families set up altars decorated with candles, marigolds, and food offerings. Pan de muerto, bread of the dead, fruit, drinks, and personal items are part of these altars, which seek to guide the return of loved ones. Every detail has spiritual meaning. The flowers mark the way, the candles illuminate and protect, while the aromas attract the souls. But there is something that powerfully attracts the attention of those who witness this festival for the first time: the costumes. On November 2nd, Thousands of people take to the streets dressed as walking skeletons, with their faces painted as beautiful skulls, reminding us that death is not the end, but part of the cycle of life. Much of this festival takes place in cemeteries where entire families gather to spend the night with their deceased loved ones, decorating graves, lighting candles, and sharing food in an atmosphere of respect and joy. In some places, music and prayers also come together in a scene that is as moving as it is unique, a way to remember and revive those who are no longer with us. This fascination with death, far from ending here, reaches even more surprising levels in certain indigenous communities, where a tradition is preserved that, for many, is as extraordinary as it is disturbing: the ritual of bone washing. This ritual is considered one of the darkest and most controversial on the planet, and yet, for those who practice it, it is an act of love and respect for their deceased. Bone washing is a cultural tradition in Pomush, Campeche, which consists of digging up the deceased after a period of time, carefully cleaning their remains, and returning them to their graves. All of this is done in an atmosphere filled with prayers, music, and ceremonies, where the sacred and the festive coexist to celebrate the continuity of the bond between the living and the dead. This practice has Mayan roots dating back to pre-Hispanic times. In that worldview, death never meant a definitive break, but rather a transition to another stage of existence. By cleaning the bones, families not only honor their ancestors, but also accompany them on their journey, ensuring that their souls remain at peace and remembering that the memory of loved ones is part of everyday life. The ritual is carried out collectively, bringing families and neighbors together in a solemn atmosphere. The bones are carefully washed, sometimes with aromatic herbs or traditional drinks, and wrapped again before being reburied. The ceremony can last for hours and involves singing and offerings. Today, this rite is kept alive in some villages, especially in indigenous regions of southern Mexico. It is performed on specific dates related to the agricultural calendar and local beliefs. For them, just as the Day of the Dead is for most people in Mexico, the washing of bones is not a tourist spectacle, but an intimate ceremony that retains a deep spiritual meaning. Although it may seem like a macabre custom to many, the washing of bones reflects a vision that does not fear the afterlife, but rather integrates it into everyday life, reminding us that the bond with those we love never completely disappears. Because of all this, Mexico's relationship with its cemeteries is also very deep. In this country, faith and spirituality have marked daily life for centuries, so it is not surprising that there are more churches than hospitals, or that there are cemeteries that look like real cities, with streets, squares, and areas dedicated to entire families. In these places, mausoleums are built that are sometimes larger than a house. Miniature churches, private chapels, and monumental tombs are erected to pay homage to the deceased, creating funerary landscapes that are seen almost nowhere else on the planet. This reality cannot be fully understood without mentioning the cultural influence of certain sectors of society that build mausoleums as symbols of power and prestige. Without going into too much detail, the truth is that these structures have become part of the landscape and a clear sign of the importance of remembering the dead in Mexico. When visiting some of these cemeteries, one can find true architectural works of art, from precisely carved statues to stained glass windows and domes that are more reminiscent of a palace than a place of eternal rest. A mixture of spirituality, tradition, and ostentation that surprises locals and foreigners alike. Among so many legends and realities, Mexico is also a place of modern mysteries. Dangerous routes, haunted islands, and stories of social groups that feed its mysticism attract adventurers and the curious alike. One of the best-known phenomena in this country is the so-called Train of Death, officially known as La Bestia. It is a series of freight trains that travel across the country, from the southern border with Guatemala to the United States. Those who board this train are usually looking for a better life, escaping difficult situations in their places of origin. For many, it represents the hope of new opportunities, although the journey is extremely dangerous and many do not live to tell the tale. The train of death is therefore considered one of the most dangerous means of transportation in the world. Traveling, often on top of the cars or at the intersections between them, exposes passengers to falls, blows, and accidents. And there are also risks due to weather conditions and safety. But the experience also has a symbolic component. It represents the courage and resilience of those seeking a different future. Along the route, there are stories of misfortune and miracles. Some manage to complete the journey, while others suffer serious accidents. Travelers must use great ingenuity and care to get on, stay on, and get off the train, which has made La Bestia a phenomenon of both admiration and terror. A striking curiosity is that despite the risks, on certain stretches the trains have developed almost a community system. The more experienced passengers help the novices get on and off, and sometimes even share food or clothing to protect themselves from the weather. This human aspect contrasts with the harshness of the journey and gives the trip an almost legendary quality. In this country, where people do not fear their spirits and there are trains as terrifying as La Bestia, there is also an island full of ghostly dolls, known as the Island of the Dolls, considered by many to be the most haunted island on the planet. The Island of Dolls is located in the canals of Xochimilco, south of Mexico City. As you will now see, it is one of the most disturbing and enigmatic destinations in the world. This place, surrounded by water and dense vegetation, is famous for its numerous dolls hanging from the trees and buildings on the island. Although the island may seem picturesque at first glance, its gloomy atmosphere and disturbing legends have made it a place of great interest for lovers of mystery and horror. The legend behind the Island of the Dolls is as disturbing as it is fascinating. It is said that the former owner of the island, Julian Santana, began placing dolls in the trees as a tribute to a girl who drowned in the nearby canal. According to legend, Santana believed that the dolls were possessed by the girl's spirit, and that by hanging them on the island, he could appease her restless soul. The story takes an even darker turn when it is said that Santana died in circumstances similar to those of the girl, drowning in the same canal. This further fueled the belief that the island is haunted, and that the dolls have a supernatural connection to the place. Today, Doll Island is known for its macabre appearance and the stories of unexplained phenomena reported by those who visit it. Visitors have reported feelings of being watched by the dolls, which seem to move on their own in the wind. One of the most disturbing legends claims that many of these dolls whisper at night. According to some witnesses, at sunset, the silence of the canal is interrupted by almost imperceptible children's voices, as if the dolls were sharing secrets or trying to communicate with the living. Some claim to have heard whispers right behind them, even though there was no one else on the island. And the most chilling thing, there are those who claim to have seen the dolls move their eyes or turn their heads slowly, even when there was not the slightest breeze. Some say that the soul of a girl who drowned in these canals is the one that continues to inhabit this island, a supernatural presence that manifests itself through the dolls. The deteriorated and worn appearance of the dolls, many of which are broken or mutilated, contributes to the atmosphere of terror in this place, circumstances that lead many to consider it a haunted island, and even more so, the most terrifying island on the planet. For all these reasons, despite its fame as a tourist site, most people who visit this place, as soon as they set foot on it, feel watched by these sinister dolls, their skin bristling, and they do not stay long. Short, like the average length of a marriage in certain areas of the country, which is why in some regions the authorities are considering implementing a unique reality in the world: temporary marriages. In some areas of Mexico, especially in urban regions with high divorce rates, the average duration of a marriage can be as short as 5 to 7 years, a fact that has sparked debate about the stability of relationships and the need for new legal formulas. The proposal for temporary marriages therefore seeks to offer a flexible alternative for couples to marry for a specific period, for example 10 years, with the possibility of renewing the contract if both parties so wish. This would allow for a more realistic approach for some. preventing divorces from becoming long, costly, and emotionally complicated processes. In these temporary unions, all the legal aspects of conventional marriage are maintained: property rights, pensions, and responsibility for children, if any. The difference lies solely in the duration and the ease with which the bond can be dissolved at the end of the term. In this way, Mexican temporary marriages seek to ensure that marriages function under a realistic commitment scheme, without the pressure of eternity turning cohabitation into a problem. The implementation of these marriages is mainly proposed in large cities and regions with high divorce rates, where society has begun to question traditional models of partnership. Some experts believe that this measure could even reduce the legal and emotional conflicts arising from divorce by establishing clear rules from the outset regarding the duration and renewal of the marriage. Interestingly, temporary marriages could also change the way weddings are celebrated, as some couples may opt for simpler, more intimate ceremonies, or even experiment with rituals other than the traditional ones, given that it is a limited union. This reality is better understood when we realize that initial passion does not always guarantee an eternal union, much like Mexican volcanoes, which combine strength, beauty, and unpredictability. Among the most active and powerful on the planet, Popocatépetl stands out not only for its height of 5,426 meters, but also for its imposing presence near large cities such as Puebla and Mexico City. Popocatépetl, known as El Popo, is constantly monitored due to its frequent activity. A fascinating curiosity is that when it emits fumaroles, its peaks of steam and ash can be seen from dozens of kilometers away, creating dramatic and beautiful landscapes that have made it a cultural and natural symbol of Mexico. Throughout the country, there are approximately 13 active volcanoes, each with its own characteristics that combine danger and aesthetic appeal. Some of them, such as Colima and Paricutin, have also left their mark on the country's history and geography, either through spectacular eruptions or through the way in which the inhabitants have learned to coexist with them. These Mexican volcanoes are a reminder that the initial force can be intense and fascinating, but also requires respect and caution, reflecting the complex relationship between beauty and risk, between admiration and caution. A natural beauty that can also be seen in their human beauty, the result of centuries of intermingling between indigenous and European peoples, with modern influences from nearby cultures such as the United States. This mixture has given rise to a unique race, appreciated both inside and outside the country, which reflects a diversity of features, skin tones, and cultural expressions. This richness is also celebrated in local and national beauty contests. Cities such as Mexico City, Guadalajara, and Monterrey organize competitions where participants compete to represent the elegance, charm, and cultural values of the country. Several of these beauty queens have been recognized internationally, standing out in global contests such as Miss Universe, which places Mexico among the countries with the highest global recognition. Beyond traditional contests, Mexican beauty is manifested in everyday life, in fashion, art, dance, gastronomy, and the way of expressing identity and pride. This beauty can also be seen in Mujeres Muxes, a third gender known to originate from the Zapotec community in Oaxaca. Muxes are people recognized as men at birth, but who adopt female roles, creating a unique identity that is recognized both culturally and socially within their community. Muxes participate fully in family and social life, taking on roles ranging from event planning to artistic and commercial work. In many cases, they marry heterosexual men, and these relationships are accepted and valued, reflecting the openness and flexibility of gender norms in Zapotec culture. The origin of this identity dates back centuries, with roots in the indigenous Zapotec worldview, which recognized the existence of more than two genders. This ancestral vision valued Muxes for their ability to balance the masculine and feminine, considering them mediators, caregivers, and important figures within the community. An interesting curiosity is that every year, Juchitán de Zaragoza celebrates the Fiesta de Muxes, a colorful event full of celebrations where the personal and social achievements of these people are recognized. Furthermore, contemporary reality shows that although many Muxes face challenges related to discrimination outside their community, within Oaxaca they enjoy respect, visibility, and a central place in cultural and family life. These realities demonstrate the extraordinary diversity and complexity of Mexican beauty, a country where gender expression, mestizaje, and history intertwine to create unique realities that reflect both the force of nature and the delicacy of its landscapes and traditions. If you've made it this far, you'd probably like to know how to savor this incredible country, which is why Uncensored World brings you information so you can enjoy it to the fullest. From America, direct flights connect cities such as Cancun, Mexico City, and Guadalajara, with destinations in the United States, Canada, and Central America. From Europe, airlines such as Iberia, Air France, and Lufthansa offer direct flights to Mexico City, Cancun, and Monterrey. Generally, a visa is not required for stays of up to 180 days. However, you must complete the FMM immigration form upon entering the country, and it is recommended that your passport be valid for at least 6 months at the time of entry into Mexico. Spring break in Mexico is usually celebrated between the first and last week of March. In terms of prices, Mexico is one of the most affordable countries for international tourists, which is why it is also one of the world's favorite destinations for backpackers and adventurers. The average cost of living is significantly lower than in the United States and Europe. For example, the average cost of a mid-range hotel room is usually around $50 per night, and a typical meal in an inexpensive restaurant costs between $7 and $22. Prices drop even further if you venture into street food, with prices ranging from $1 to $2 per meal. Among the most famous and popular destinations not only in Mexico but in the world is the Riviera Maya, so named because it stretches along the coast of the state of Quintana Roo, facing the Caribbean Sea, forming a tourist strip full of natural beauty and cultural richness. The region is home to a multitude of Mayan ruins, witnesses to an ancient civilization, as well as majestic cenotes, white sand beaches and crystal-clear waters, coral reefs and nature reserves that combine history, adventure, and relaxation in one place. The most economical and authentic way to get around the Riviera Maya is by using colectivos, which is the name given to shared vans that operate on fixed routes between cities such as Cancun, Playa del Carmen, and Tulum. These vehicles are ideal for tourists looking for a local experience and wanting to save on transportation. For example, a trip from Playa del Carmen to Tulum costs around 30 Mexican pesos. It is essential to bear in mind that, although Mexico is a popular tourist destination, some areas may present security problems, so it is recommended to find out about the areas you plan to visit and follow the recommendations of local authorities and international organizations, in addition to taking basic precautions such as avoiding displaying valuables in public and using authorized transportation. Mexico offers a variety of tourist destinations that attract travelers from all over the world. In addition to the Riviera Maya, known for its white sand beaches, cenotes, and Mayan ruins, there is also Mexico City, a vibrant metropolis with a rich history, museums, and cuisine. Oaxaca, famous for its indigenous culture, colonial architecture, and unique cuisine. And Guadalajara, the birthplace of mariachi and tequila, with a mix of tradition and modernity. Each of these regions offers a unique experience that combines history, culture, nature, and Mexican hospitality. At Uncensored World, we hope you found this video as interesting as we did, and that it helped you discover Mexico, one of the most precious jewels on the planet. If so, don't hesitate to leave us a like and a comment. It's the best way to help us continue working to bring you interesting content like this every week. Or like this video you can now watch to discover another of the most fascinating places on the planet. Click on it. You're going to enjoy it.